of course, we get our lane assignments, and we can see where these athletes will be getting a look at each other. We see CrossFit CSA in lane 7, Paradiso CrossFit Venice in 6, Fortius South in 4, and Diablo in lane number 3. So again, as these athletes start getting set, they get through the early portion of this, and then they get out again to where the snatches are. Is it just go, go, go?
Once they get past the rope climb segment, then you're right. It's about really getting out of the way so that your men can get there. The men aren't going to have the issue with the rope climb, or at least classically we don't see an issue there, and it's about leaving them as much of an open space so that they can get as far as they can through, and then hopefully to the finish line.
So immediately we see them starting off on the rope climb portion.
Now, one thing we have to mention about that short rope. First of all, you're going to start off with a legless rope climb. So you got to get yourself up high enough to where you can get your feet locked. Most situations in most gyms, you have a lot more rope on the ground, so it makes biting with your feet on that rope a lot easier. We don't have that here. You don't have the weight, you don't have the length. So you'll see a lot of the athletes are struggling with their feet trying to get a good bite, which is really forcing them to have to go up higher with a legless rope climb. You're basically doing a 3/4 legless and maybe one last little lock to get the touch. You saw that right there.
In the green tops, we are looking at Invictus Unconquerable here, going back and forth on singles. To the right, we see CrossFit CSA. This is Endgame Athletics here in the black top. And that's Diablo directly to the right in the brighter red pinkish top.
And all these women are looking very strong. I think generally speaking, everyone, from what I can see anyway, everyone's going for that back and forth single. Again, we have, if you split it in half, that's 10 rope climbs each. That's no joke. They don't have any other movement to try to give them a rest, to give them a little bit of break. So it's basically a 1-to-1 work to rest ratio that these athletes are putting themselves into.
Again, we are a minute 55 into event 5, heat number 1, final day of competition here at the West Regional. Let's take a look at the event record. It was set by CrossFit Mayhem Freedom, 15:27:39 at the Central Regional. 15:27:39.
Now we do see a lot of these ladies are going hand over hand, then trying to get their feet bite just like that. I think that's going to be the general, but something that we saw over the last couple of years is athletes will go to grab the rope with their legs low so that it enables them to not have to do so much of a legless rope climb. Over in lane number 7, we were looking at Paradiso. I was watching their ladies from across the field here. You can see them do that. Let's see if, I'm sorry, lane 6. Let's see if we can get that here once they get them up on the rope. So she goes hand over hand right there. That goes for that leg lock. So basically didn't have much of a legless rope climb at all. Once she gets her legs locked in there, that allows her to take a little bit of tension off of her arms. Then she can go up and get her feet locked and then get herself overhead. Well, I also saw, and right over to the left-hand side, tie-dye nation, same type of thing, jumping up, grabbing with the legs, unless you just want to go straight legless rope climb like that. That was pretty tough.
Now, compared to week 1, I feel like I'm seeing a lot more of alternating singles. Does that mean these teams watched and maybe came up with a strategy?
100%, absolutely. And all these athletes are smart. And here's the thing, you'll see it from week to week to week, but you'll see it from heat to heat. They'll be, the teams will be in the back thinking like, okay, how are these teams going? We have our plan. Do we need to adjust quickly on the fly to actually do something better because maybe someone came up with a better idea?
In lane 5, CrossFit Anywhere Tie-Dye Nation is in the lead in the early goings here of heat number 1, event number 5.
So both athletes have to row 40 calories. Each of them have their own rower. So again, here you can only go as fast as your slowest member. And the women, the pairs, have to get all the way through. So after the row, they still have the snatches that they have to do before the men can even start. So this really is, this event on this third day is all about the ladies. If you have a strong ladies component, you're going to have an excellent round 5, or an excellent event 5.
All right, we see towards the far left of your screen, Endgame Athletics was the second team to come out. And then in lane number 8, in the green tops towards the middle of your screen, that was Invictus Unconquerable. They were the third team out. Again, working on the 40-calorie row portion now. Now, Bill, in terms of how hard this event is, only 6 of 116 teams have finished under that 17-minute time cap.
So if you know a number like that going into it, you're thinking, well, if you were the guys, you're like, okay, you're going to look square at your ladies and say, it's all on you. It's all on you. I mean, you really have to look at this. The women are doing the exact same number of reps all the way through, and normally the row would be brought down just a touch, but these women are having to do the exact same amount as the guys. You have to figure that they're probably going to be on the rower for at least about 2 minutes. They're looking at about 2 minutes, maybe a little plus depending how blown out their arms are, depending how tall and long they are. If you have a taller athlete that's going to actually, the first 2 movements, the rope climb and the row, is going to play to their favor. But now we just get to hang out and watch to see who jumps off first.
The aptly adorned CrossFit Anywhere Tie-Dye Nation in the middle of your screen. The early leaders here in heat number 1 of event number 5 on the final day of competition for team competition at the West Regional. In lane 2, we see Endgame Athletics. They are in second in this heat. And in lane number 8, we are looking at Invictus Unconquerable. These are our leaders. CrossFit Anywhere Tie-Dye Nation.
So as these athletes are going through the row, it's not about racing the row. You want to be able to contain yourself, get a good clip, but contain yourself. Now is where you really have to be able to push as you work yourself through those snatches.
And again, these are our leaders. Bill, let's talk again about what we are looking at here with event number 5.
Well, it's a female-female race at the start, and then we go to our male-male pair. 20 rope climbs total with the entire group. 40 calorie rows each, and then 60 snatches. The ladies are doing 95 pounds on the snatches, and once they get through that total set of 60, then the males get to have their turn at it.
So in the tie-dyed uniforms in the middle of your screen, that is Tie-Dye Nation in the lead here in the early goings of heat number 1, event number 5.
Now they can break up this set of snatches any way they want. So if you have a very strong lifter, put them on that bar and let them go for quite a bit. You can see right there in-game athletics in the black on the left side of your screen, very strong on that lift. And I love the way she's cycling that bar. Very experienced cycling. You can tell the way she's bringing that bar down. A little bit of a hop, which resets that bar to have a rebound right off the ground in that perfect position.
Again, in the left side of your screen, that is Endgame Athletics. They are in second here right now. On the right, Diablo. They are in third. So they are chasing CrossFit Anywhere Tie-Dye Nation. Middle of your screen.
And here's the thing with Tie-Dye Nation, they look great on the ropes, they look great on the row. But the second lifter, the one that's not going now, the second female lifter, isn't as strong. So you can see the Tie-Dye Nation right there, the white headband in the middle. She's moving the bar very well, but because the other athlete isn't as strong with that bar, it's forcing her to do all the work. So this is a really tough position. You're going to have one athlete. If you can't divide this evenly, then one is going to be smoked down. They got to carry the team. You can see that. You can see her really splitting her legs wide. She's really struggling with that weight.
All right, here is now Endgame Athletics with the Black Tops. They have moved into the lead here in heat number 1 of event number 5. They were behind heading into the snatches here, but they have taken the lead from Tie-Dye Nation over in lane number 5. This is Endgame Athletics. They've moved into the lead here in heat number 1, event 5.
And just look at that barbell cycling. Now, one of the things with a lighter weight for some of these stronger ladies, they can basically rip this right off the ground and put it up overhead. But if you can keep it as efficient as possible, that's going to be the best. And actually the fastest over the course of a lot of reps. We're looking at 60 total snatches. So even if you split it up evenly, that's 30. That's a lot of reps. So you have to be as efficient as possible, even though you're trying to move quickly.
These are our leaders here in heat number 1, Endgame Athletics. They currently have a 17-second lead on CrossFit Anywhere Tie-Dye Nation. 9 minutes and 30 seconds gone by. 17-minute cap here of event number 5 of the team competition. It's the final day at the 2018 Reebok CrossFit Games West Regional. Again, our leaders on the left, Endgame Athletics. In third place in the middle of your screen, that is Diablo. And then over on the right-hand side of your screen, that's Tie-Dye Nation. They're in second. And these are our leaders. This is the male pair now for Endgame Athletics.
Now, I think with the guys, you may see a couple done at a time on the rope climbs. I think you could have 2 at a time, not too much of an issue. The guys are usually a little bit stronger, usually a little bit more just confident on the rope. They get a nice big jump, so there's not a whole lot of pulling that they have to do. Bust a couple out and then let their other partner go.
Diablo is moving up. This is their male pair coming out in red in the background. They've moved into second. And they are 29 seconds behind where Endgame is right now. So on the left, that is Endgame, again with a 29-second lead on the right. Those are the chasers in second, Diablo.
And you can see Endgame doing that double. Now, one standard that they have to do, you see him slide down and then stop his hands just below that black mark on the rope. The standard is their hands both have to come below that before they can drop, and that's just to kind of keep some safety on the athlete so they aren't dropping from that 15-foot beam up at the top.
Again, our leaders in lane number 2, Endgame Athletics. 11 minutes and 30 seconds gone by. Heat 1, event number 5 of the West Regional. There's CrossFit Anywhere Tie-Dye Nation, easy to spot on the floor. They have dropped, or they had dropped into third, but now they've moved up into second. So a little bit of a comeback after losing some ground on the snatch portion with the female pair. Again on the right, that's Tie-Dye Nation. They're currently in second.
Very, very fast changeover for Tie-Dye Nation. You can see, and they're going singles, and this is a good plan. I mean, I think you could go either way. It just depends how fast you can move, and it's about keeping your speed consistent. The second you start to slow down, obviously you don't want to add more reps to it. So if you can keep that quick singles back and forth, that's great. And they're doing a great job. A little bit of a hang up there. Again, that's where you start to break down if you don't get that bite on the rope right away with your feet and just kind of hang out there and burn your arms out.
12:30 gone by. Hand up on our leaders. Endgame Athletics here in Heat 1. Up next, they'll be onto the row. Diablo on the right. They're in third now. And Endgame pulling ahead. This is Tie-Dye Nation.
Wow,
they're in second.
They made up a lot of time on those rope climbs, really fast.
Again, towards the left of your screen, that's Endgame Athletics. They are in the lead. Giving chase in the middle of your screen, that's Tie-Dye Nation. And this is Diablo. They are currently in third right now. You see the judge's hand is up, which means they're down to their final 5 rope climbs before they move on to the rowing portion as well.
And you really want to get that nice big jump. Try to reduce the amount of distance. You got to use those arms.
So Diablo advances to the rowing portion.
So I see Tie-Dye Nation right down at the bottom of your screen in the purple shorts. They're really pulling that cable very hard. I don't see them really taking this much of a rest. Same thing with Diablo. Look how much they're attacking that row. Now that's great if you want to do that if this was the end. However, we still have to remember that we have 60 snatches we have to do at 135 pounds. Now those of you that do CrossFit at home, you all have heard of Grace. Well, guess what? That's where it is right there. We're snatching, or I'm sorry, Isabel, we're snatching 30 reps for each person. So we're doing that on top of this. So you don't want to kill yourself on the row. You really want to, I don't want to say pace it. You just need to get through it. It's going to be more of an active recovery so that you can come home hard on those 60 snatches that you have to complete.
In the gray, closest to the camera, that's Endgame Athletics. They are current leaders here. In the red, that is Diablo. They're sitting in third, and in skins towards the right of the screen, that is Tie-Dye Nation. They're in second. You can see the hand is up for the male pair for Endgame Nation. Now it's on to the snatching portion.
Wow, tie-dye moved so fast. Did you see how much distance they made up on that row? Now here's a question, Ted. Did they push too hard on that row just to come up and come even with Endgame? Endgame looked like they were a little bit more relaxed on that row, so now we have to see, was the pacing correct? Was the active recovery the better move, or was it let me try to get up tied with you and then try and race? You have to see how much energy they got left in the tank.
So we see Tie-Dye Nation has moved up. They're currently sitting in second. And then moving forward to the top of your screen, that's Endgame Athletics. We have 1 minute remaining here. On the left, these are our leaders, Endgame Athletics. In the red, that is Diablo. They're in third, and over on the right of your screen, that's Tie-Dye Nation. They're in second, trying to chase down Endgame Athletics on the left of your screen. 35 seconds remain. Sorry, Bill.
That's okay. Endgame looks pretty tough. They can see that the light's at the end of the tunnel as far as time-wise, so now it's just time to black out. You don't want to slow down, but you can't worry about trying to pace or trying to, it hurts a little bit too much. You just really need to push that body as hard as you can.
And you see the hands coming up. 15 seconds. 10 seconds remain. Endgame in the gray in the background of the shot. They are in the lead. And the horn will sound, and Endgame Athletics will come out with the best score here in heat number 1 of event number 5.
"30 seconds. "10 seconds. Stand by.
The ladies taken to the floor again. We've got our second heat here on day 3 at the West Regional. The ladies beginning to attack event 5, kicking this off with 20 rope climbs between the two ladies.
We saw in the last heat, Endgame Athletics and CrossFit Anywhere, the Tie-Dye Nation, put on quite a show. Our athletes getting back to the snatches. That's the male athletes. How far will these teams get?
The ladies of OCCF moving up that rope very swiftly. They're looking to create some space between themselves and the other teams on the floor, trying to get as far as they can to advance.
A virtual who's who as far as teams go out on that field as CrossFit Costa Mesa making their way up that rope. CrossFit Costa Mesa looking strong as they get down. Got a no rep, so they're gonna have to go back up and give it a shot. Here comes Team Rep Scheme. Rep Scheme climbing up to the top, as does Team Iconic, both getting a solid rep as they make their way down.
The ladies from Diablo Moxie in red, moving up that rope very swiftly, showing some great competency with the rope climbs. Female athlete from Team Evernox having no issue going legless before the foot pinch and the rep count.
Another good rep for CrossFit Costa Mesa, making up some time. 6:04, fighting their way up to the top.
The ladies with a quick transition from OCCF in lane 3. A quick pinch of the feet, a tap of the rope rig, and that's a rep for OCCF.
Some of the techniques seen here, a lot of people going legless. Others are wrapping their legs around the rope, squeezing. And then once they get enough slack, that's when they use their feet. So the different strategies coming into play as our athletes move up that rope. Team Iconic and CrossFit Costa Mesa. Another set of solid good reps. There goes 6:04 and OCCF. They're trying to make it another good rep.
Team Precision using her body height to get herself up that rope. Team Precision, a quick transition between female athletes. And Josh, my eyes are scanning for those judges under that rope rig, looking for the first judge with their hand in the air, indicating 5 reps to go.
Looks like we got Coeur d'Alene and Diablo Moxie with judges' hand in the air. There goes CrossFit Costa Mesa and OCCF. So we got ourselves a tight race here between those athletes as they make their way up that rope for those final set of rope climbs. Remember, these athletes got to get to 20. They will then hop onto that Concept 2 rower for 40 calories as CrossFit Coeur d'Alene going up to work.
I'm seeing 4 reps left for the ladies. The Bane Cat ladies from Sumner CrossFit in lane 6. But there goes CrossFit Coeur d'Alene in lane 5, the middle of your floor. These ladies off that rope first and onto the Concept 2 rower. Who will be next behind them? 2 reps left for Sumner CrossFit. The ladies from Coeur d'Alene creating some space between themselves and the other teams on the floor. Looking to pull ahead and create a commanding lead here in heat number 2. There goes CrossFit Costa Mesa joining on the Concept 2 rowers. Just behind them, Team OCCF, but do not leave out Diablo Moxie in lane 7.
So there are your top 4 teams: Coeur d'Alene, Costa Mesa, OCCF, and Diablo Moxie as they make their way onto that Concept 2 rower. Remember, 17-minute cap as our athletes work fast and furiously through this event.
And here comes Team Precision joining these ladies on the Concept 2 rower. Hitting that row first, it was CrossFit Coeur d'Alene in lane 5. The ladies in the matching black tank tops and white pants. They are being chased by CrossFit Costa Mesa, Diablo Moxie, and Team OCCF. These ladies working through 40 calories on this Concept 2 rower. And we're approaching the 20 calorie mark for Team OCCF, both ladies at the 17 and 18 calorie mark. Our leaders, the ladies from CrossFit Coeur d'Alene, both over 30 calories. The Lady Bane Cats hanging around 20. The ladies from Diablo Moxie working through midway of the 20 calorie mark and less than 5 calories to go for both ladies from CrossFit Coeur d'Alene in lane 5. 1 female athlete done from Coeur d'Alene, 2 female athletes done from Coeur d'Alene. And Josh, here they go onto that rope barbell.
And there they go, Coeur d'Alene knocking out a big chunk of reps.
Looking like the ladies from CrossFit Costa Mesa might be the next off the rowers. Both ladies with mid-range 30 calories, but it's CrossFit Coeur d'Alene holding on to that commanding lead, working on their first set of 10 95-pound snatches. Less than 5 calories to go for the Bane Cats. Last 2 calories for Diablo Moxie. But it is the ladies from CrossFit Costa Mesa next to that rogue barbell. They are 1, 2 reps ahead of Diablo Moxie. Looks like it is 1, Coeur d'Alene, 2, Costa Mesa, 3, Diablo Moxie. But now, Josh, these ladies are jumping off that Concept 2 rower and joining on the rogue barbell.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, our athletes working hard to get that barbell up and overhead. Diablo Moxie and Sumner Bane Cats going back and forth as Costa Mesa and OCCF advance. But all eyes on Coeur d'Alene as they are steering the ship, steering that ship into first place with Costa Mesa, Diablo Moxie, and OCCF tied for second. CrossFit Costa Mesa with a big, solid chunks of reps, trying to take over that second place position as they are currently tied with Diablo Moxie and OCCF. CrossFit Costa Mesa getting an O rep.
There goes CrossFit Coeur d'Alene, advancing that rogue barbell down the way. These ladies trying to make as much of a lead as they can before they pass this work off to their male athletes waiting patiently under that rogue rig. The ladies from OCCF advancing that barbell down. They are working on their 3rd set of 10 snatches. The ladies from Coeur d'Alene in the middle of your floor, white pants, black tank tops, your leaders in this heat. And look at that, the ladies from OCCF going touch and go on that transition, pulling into the 2nd place spot. You've got 1, Coeur d'Alene, 2, OCCF, 3, CrossFit Costa Mesa. Stepping into that 4th place position is Diablo Moxie in the red tank tops. But in the middle of your floor, your leaders, CrossFit Coeur d'Alene.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, approaching and surpassing the 9-minute mark. Remember, 17-minute cap, as we want all of our athletes to get as close as they can to finishing this event. A tough task indeed. But these athletes have what it takes, especially CrossFit Coeur d'Alene. Coeur d'Alene making their way through those final set of snatches as their men wait patiently in the wings.
The ladies from Coeur d'Alene with less than 10 reps to go, showing us quick turnover and quick transition. 5 reps to go for Coeur d'Alene. And Josh, OCCF is holding on to that 2nd place position. OCCF now also on their last 10 reps, trying to catch up with CrossFit Coeur d'Alene. OCCF moving at a blistering pace.
But it is Coeur d'Alene crossing that finish line first as their male athletes going right to work. Coeur d'Alene extending their lead as their male athletes 2 rope climbs in the bank.
The guys from Coeur d'Alene back onto that rogue rig. They're climbing up that rope, and Josh, they're not even wasting time to use their feet. They're going legless all the way up and down.
OCCF in second, Coeur d'Alene with about a 25-second lead over OCCF. OCCF making their way up. OCCF looking strong, but it is Coeur d'Alene who is running the show. Coeur d'Alene tagging the top of that crossbar as they make their way down. OCCF climbing up. OCCF tagging the top as they make their way down. So it goes Coeur d'Alene, OCCF, and now CrossFit Costa Mesa as the big boys of CrossFit Costa Mesa go to work.
We've got 3 teams onto that rogue rig. Make it 4, Josh. The Bane Cats from Sumner CrossFit joining the mix, as well as Diablo Moxie jumping up onto that rope. These guys looking to advance, get up that rope as soon as possible. These guys must complete 20 reps between the pair. In the middle of your floor, lane 5, your leaders, CrossFit Coeur d'Alene. Chasing them in lane 3, the guys from OCCF. Behind them, CrossFit Costa Mesa in lane 9.
CrossFit Coeur d'Alene with a big lead going into this with their male athletes at about a 25-second lead. Are they still holding on to it as they are moving quickly through this set of 20 rope climbs?
20 rope climbs is what stands between these guys and that Concept 2 rower. These guys needing to perform the same amount of work as the ladies. We're just throwing on a little bit of extra weight onto that row barbell at the end. The ladies from Team Precision passing off their work to their men. But it is still in the middle of your floor. CrossFit Coeur d'Alene with 3 more rope climbs to go. See if CrossFit Coeur d'Alene can hold on to this lead. Last few reps for OCCF as well. My eyes are peeled to these Concept 2 rowers to see which pair of male athletes will be the first to mount. And it is still CrossFit Coeur d'Alene in the lead.
Coeur d'Alene hopping on that rower as they still have a stronghold on first place. Their athletes trying to get to that 40-calorie marker. We saw about 4 teams get to those snatches. And Coeur d'Alene still has about a 20-second lead over their competitors.
The boys from OCCF now joining the Concept 2 row. These teams must complete 40 calories on that rower. And it is CrossFit Coeur d'Alene still in the middle of the floor in the lead. They're gonna have to keep up quite a pace on that Concept 2 rower, Josh, if they're gonna wanna hold on to this lead. Off the rope is CrossFit Costa Mesa, holding on to that 3rd place position. We've got 1 CrossFit Coeur d'Alene, 2 OCCF, 3 CrossFit Costa Mesa, and 4 the boys from Diablo Moxie in red, joining on the Concept 2 rowers. We're at the 14-minute mark, seeing how fast these guys can complete 40 calories on this Concept 2 rower.
They're gonna have about 3 minutes to get over to that barbell. As Coeur d'Alene on pace to get there first.
The boys from OCCF over that 20-calorie mark, both around 25 calories. And it is 5 calories to go for CrossFit Coeur d'Alene.
There goes Team Rep Scheme on their rowers. With just a few more pulls, it looks like Coeur d'Alene is off of the rower and on to those snatches, 135 pounds. We got about 2 minutes to see these athletes complete 60 snatches. It's gonna be a tough task.
Here comes OCCF, both boys done with the 40 calories. They're joining CrossFit Coeur d'Alene on that rope barbell. 135 pounds going ground to overhead in one swift movement. Nice pace still being held by CrossFit Coeur d'Alene in the middle of the floor.
Again, Coeur d'Alene trying to lengthen their lead going into the fellas, going to work about a 25-second lead. OCCF chasing down Coeur d'Alene, but Coeur d'Alene making short work of these snatches.
Not wasting any time on that turnover as these guys are approaching the 1 minute mark.
You heard the lady, almost 1 minute as Costa Mesa joins Diablo CrossFit.
There goes Coeur d'Alene advancing that rope barbell, moving on to their next set of 10 repetitions. We are under 1 minute to go, athletes. CrossFit Coeur d'Alene not slowing down, trying to get as many reps as they can. They are competing against the performance set by Endgame Athletics and Tie-Dye Nation last heat.
Athletes, we got 30 seconds.
30 seconds on the clock, and OCCF trying to catch up to CrossFit Coeur d'Alene. But CrossFit Coeur d'Alene holding on to that lead as we hit the 15-second mark.
Come on, ladies and gentlemen, cheer on these teams as they got less than 10 seconds to go. Coeur d'Alene holding on strong as we count you down with 3, 2, 1, time.
The stat we had seen was that entering the day, only 6 teams had completed under the cap so far. So that, of course, is something to pay attention to and might give us just an idea of how good some of these teams at the top of the table really are to see what type of a time Invictus X can do.
Well, I really think that, you know, between Fort Vancouver and Invictus X and Torrance Training Lab, those 3 teams right in the middle, 4, 5, and 6, you're going to have to keep your eyes on them. They're very experienced. They have a lot of high-level skills, not just strength and not just strong, but I mean, rope climbs is one of those things that your women either have it or they don't have it. And I will say this, Torrance Training Lab, one of the women, if you talk about rope climbs other than China Cho, if you're looking on the individual side, is going to be Jamie Haigia, and here she is in lane 6 with Torrance Training Lab, so you're going to have to keep your eye on them for sure. Again,
Code 3 San Diego in 3, and we've got Invictus X right in the center. They are in lane number 5, and they are at the top of the table. This is, of course, Torrance Training Lab.
I really honestly think the set of 20 for these 2 ladies to start off for Torrance Training Lab is not going to be a problem. It's going to be to see how fast they're able to go.
And we are underway, Heat 3, event number 5 on the final day here at the West Regional. This is CrossFit Fort Vancouver.
And if you see that right there in the red pants, Jamie Haigia went for 2. She was the only one across the floor that I saw that went for a double. If she's got that sort of capacity, that's huge. We have to see what Chelsea's going to do, and it looks like she's struggling a little bit with that foot grip. And again, choosing to go with the single for her, good move. Now, if Jamie has the power to be able to do multiples, that's really going to save Chelsea. I have to see what kind of capacity she's going to put to the rest of the test here. Wow, and another double. Now, that's not a bad plan, and I won't say that, I mean, if you got the capacity, go for it, but on any team event, the object is to not sit there and be tired. It's better, especially if it's short transition time, just to keep the tempo moving. Now, if Chelsea is struggling here, then I think that's a great move to put Jamie and really push her on her skill.
Lane 7. That is CrossFit Billings. They entered the day in 4th place on the table, and they have a slim margin between them and 7th place. Just 12 points separate those teams. So a lot could happen here on this final day of competition, fighting for a top 5 spot to get a trip to Madison.
And I got to give some love into lane 7. She just came off the rope. She's got the short blonde hair. That's Yuri Hansen. Last year at the Masters competition, the 40 to 44, she was 3rd in the world. So we have a very experienced, very strong Masters competitor adding to this team and really putting a nice solid button on that team. Again, they're in the top 3 position, 50 points ahead of the field. I just think it's cool as a Masters athlete myself, seeing an older athlete adding so much to such a good team.
Again, on the right now, that's Torrance Training Lab. They entered the day in 2nd place. Invictus X in lane number 5. They are our overall leaders here on the final day of competition at the West Regional.
Now, if you look in the middle of your screen, we have Invictus X in lane 5. Jen Dancer just went up, and she had a little bit of a struggle. You can see her go for that leg wrap. See if she does it again. Leg wrap right there. And then tries to get her feet locked up. Now, it does work. It saves her arm. It's a little bit slower, but that might be okay, because I look over at Jamie Haigia right next to her in the red pants, and it looks like she's starting to shut down a little bit. She's been doing a lot more rope climbs than any of the other ladies across the field. So we're really testing her capacity for this level of amount of rope climbs. I mean, who wants to do 14 rope climbs? I don't want to do 14 rope climbs.
CrossFit Billings is the early leader here in lane 7 in the black top, making their way up the rope. Judge's hand is up. Looks like this is the 2nd of their last 2 before they make their way out to the rower.
Yuri working that rope, looking very strong. And again, you can't discount that short rope. It's basically a legless rope climb all the way, until you can get your feet locked on there.
CrossFit Billings the first out there, or excuse me, it was Team Tyrannus in lane 2 got out there first. They just beat CrossFit Billings out there. So these are our early leaders, Team Tyrannus in lane number 2.
And that's really important because both of those teams are on that bubble. Tyrannus is 12 points out, so they're the ones that really need to make a statement here. Billings is they're right on that number 4 spot. What would we say, 2 points above the bubble. So that's important for them to be up there as well. But Tyrannus really needs to get their ladies off the rope, which is exactly what they did. Get through this and get off the floor so that their men can start going to work.
Again, the black tops, Tyrannus, the early leaders here in Heat 3 of event number 5. 4 minutes and 10 seconds into a 17-minute cap. Final day of competition here at the West Regional.
And here's the thing with Tyrannus, you really can't, even though they're sitting in 7th place, if you look at all of their scoring up to this point, the only time that they did bad, quote unquote bad, is when they had to do those handstand walks over that obstacle. That was the only thing that shut them down, because they got a 15th place there, but a 5th, and a 6th coming into here. So they are not out of the game as far as ability. I think that 7th place position is not as indicative as it may look on points than what they really are. So I think they really need to get themselves up, and they're trying to prove that to themselves here.
This is Invictus, not Invictus X, but Invictus. They entered the day 6th overall after 4 events.
6. I mean, again, when you're in 6th place and you're 0 points behind 5th place, that's just kind of annoying. These guys, they really need to do well for themselves. It's the worst thing to be on the bubble, but on the bubble with literally no points. So again, only one bad result. They had a 5th place, a 6th place, a 12th yesterday, and then a 4th. So again, one stumble and it put them right on that line. So again, they want to kind of redeem themselves.
For more on Invictus, let's go to Kiki Dixon. Kiki?
I was able to steal some time from the ladies of Team Invictus and their statement, "We're here." Jen Ryan went on to joke, "We're a group of weird-shaped athletes, and I'm old, but we're still here." Jen is 38 and a half. She says she's the only person who rounds up her age because at this point she feels like it's a badge of honor. All the Invictus athletes train together, and there's no animosity between them, but as Timey Wildgoose puts it, Team Invictus is here to prove that they can hang. Their bodies are feeling good. Today is much more mental for them. The question of the day, how bad do you want to make it hurt?
This is Tyrannus out to the snatch first, but we see also Billings is out there and Invictus X.
Wow, and the fact that Invictus, we haven't really even talked about them. In the beginning we did, but they weren't the first ones off the rope, but they really hammered that row to get themselves to that barbell. Here's the thing, these are two very strong athletes, and putting them on the barbell is gonna be just dominant, or they are gonna dominate over the field now because they got to that bar so quick. That's not what the field wants them to have. They have a gym dancer and her hands on a barbell.
This is Invictus X, our overall leader entering the day. And they have moved into the lead here in heat number 3.
Wow, they are moving that bar so quickly and so smoothly. Look at Billings right there in the middle of your screen, the gray shorts, or the gray pants and the black tank top. Look how fast she's cycling that bar. You talk about barbell cycling, that right there was picture perfect. And what I liked about it was a fast rebound off the ground, great positioning all the way through, so she wasn't wasting a lot of energy or a lot of time.
Again, Billings entered the day in 4th place, vying for a top 5 spot and a trip to the CrossFit Games. There's another team trying to get into that top 5 spot and stay there, and that is Code 3 San Diego. They started off this competition with an event record, and they're on the bubble right now. They are 5th overall, but as we said, about 12 points between 4th and 7th right now, so a lot can happen.
And they've been so up and down this entire competition. A 1st, a 19th, a 2nd, a 10th. Which one are they going to do this time? It's kind of, you got to toss the dice out there to see what they're going to do. They can't be that inconsistent, but they want to make sure they have a nice finish today.
Let's take a look at just how close it is right now between 4th and 7 right now. We see CrossFit Billings is 298, and then Code 3 San Diego is at 296. Invictus tied right there, and then Team Tyrannus just 12 points behind of where CrossFit Billings is in 4th right now. So I still feel, Bill, that anything can happen there.
Well, they really can, but the way Billings is moving, I think they're gonna solidify that 4th place spot, at least coming out of here, because they're moving so smooth. They aren't gonna make a jump on Fort Vancouver. The points are too high, but they want to bump that up a little bit more. Let the other teams battle for that red line. They want to get away from that red line. Great job by those ladies. Wow.
And so Billings first onto the ropes. This is the male pair now.
And we said the importance of the first half of this event is you want your ladies to have strong rope climbs, and then once they do, you want them out of the field as fast as possible so that their men can actually race. Now the race begins. We got the women out of the way, and now here's what we see. And we don't have a whole lot of time left to go. So these men, they're probably not going to finish by looking where they are on the time cap, but they need to get as many reps as possible, and they really need to push the issue.
Billings has an 11-second lead on Invictus X. And for event 5 so far, now it's just 6 of 136 teams that have finished under that 17-minute time cap. CrossFit Mayhem Freedom is the only team to finish under 16 minutes.
Wow, that is just blazing fast by Mayhem Freedom.
And we see in lane 9, Bear Republic has made it to the rope climb as well. The event record that we just alluded to from CrossFit Mayhem Freedom, 15:27:39, and that was in the Central Regional. 15:27:39 is flying. And this is Torrance Train Lab right now, not having a good go of it. They have dropped down to 9th here in heat number 3.
And this is one of those things, we saw them starting to struggle on the rope climbs. Chelsea just wasn't doing as many as she needed to, which really put a lot of pressure on Jamie Hagia. Being behind, I think that's one of the things that this team doesn't like to have happen to them. I just don't know if they can put the blinders on. I don't want to say they look frustrated, but they don't look as happy as they normally are when they're up at the front. Not that they aren't moving the bar well, they are, but I don't think they like that first part, and it's kind of like giving them a little bit different facial features today.
Lane 7, CrossFit Billings entering the day in 4th, trying to secure a spot to Madison. They are currently our leaders. Although lane 5, it's Invictus X, they've just taken the lead. So they are in front of them. They were 11 seconds behind, but they've caught up to Billings on the rope climb. They are overall leaders.
And I have to say, doing like they've done all weekend long, they just don't look like they're racing. I mean, they move that whole, fast is smooth, or slow is smooth, and smooth is fast kind of thing. That's exactly the tempo that they seem to move. They don't look rushed. They're just doing their thing, and they just move so quickly by doing that. It just does not look like they're racing. It trips me out.
So Invictus X makes their way out to the rowers first. They're in the lead here in heat number 3, and they are overall leaders in the team competition. 12 minutes gone by, 17-minute cap. This is Billings. They're in 2nd here in the heat right now. And they're out onto the rowers as well. And this is Bear Republic right now. They are in 3rd here in heat number 3. Again, in the black top in the middle of your screen. And Code 3 San Diego has made it out in lane number 3. Again, they entered the day right above that red line in the 5th place. This is Invictus X on the right. They are our leaders. Over there on the left, that's Code 3 San Diego. You see Bear Republic has made it out there, and that's Fort Vancouver joining the party as well. Fort Vancouver was 3rd as the day started. Their placing looked relatively secure.
Wow. Wow, I just want to say, look who we have on the rowers and look who is not on the rowers. Lane 6, Torrance Training Lab, those guys are still working on the rope climbs. This has got to be very frustrating for them. Still trying to work. We have guys coming off the rowers already, and those guys haven't even made it to the rowers.
This is Invictus X, still in the lead here, out to the snatches.
Wow, Sam Dancer not having any issue with that 135-pound snatch. I mean, it's not, he's so strong that you don't even have to have any form to get the weight up overhead. He's literally just mind melding that thing up overhead. Probably do it with one hand if you wanted to. Oh, hey, I'm just gonna go ahead and take 45 of these myself. How about it? Is that cool? All right. Thanks a lot, Sam.
Again, that's Invictus X out in the lead at the left of your screen. And looking very strong right now out on the snatching portion of this event.
Dude, look at these guys. Here comes Billings, tough. This is a great event for them. These ladies really set their men up well.
So Invictus X right now has a 45-second lead. That is Invictus X. Farthest to the left on your screen in the white top. There are overall leaders in the competition and the leaders here in heat number 3. Two minutes remain. And this is Torrance Training Lab. They were in second entering the day, but they have dropped back.
Well, now you got to remember, this is frustrating for them for sure. They do not like this, but they have a very comfortable position where they are. This isn't going to crush them and drop them out of the top 5 necessarily. At least I don't think it's going to. I mean, third place position had a 50-point lead. They had another 10 points over them, so a 60-point lead above that number 5 position. So I think they'll still be okay, but this is definitely going to be painful for them.
A minute 20 to the cap here. This is Billings. Again, they entered the day in 4th. They're in 2nd here in this heat 3. And again, we're looking at Code 3, San Diego and Tyrannus. Both teams right in there from 5th to 7th with a good shot at making it to Madison, depending on these last 2 events go.
And San Diego's doing what they need to do. Again, not a good finish yesterday, but they're going to come up with a positive finish today. They're really moving that bar well.
45 seconds remain here. This is Invictus X, our leaders in Heat 3 and the team competition. Judge's hand is up. And they will be the 7th team to get in under the cap and take event number 5 here at the West Regional.
That was pretty dang impressive. Pretty dang impressive. They didn't even look like they were racing that event.
Now you see Billings there. Just over 10 seconds remain. Again, this is Billings. 5 seconds.
3, 2, 1.
And the horn will sound.
My goodness.
But the battle between Billings and Code 3 San Diego, Team Tyrannus, absolutely fantastic. Those are our event winners. Invictus X, and again, just the 7th team to get in under that 17-minute cap. And also casually, Bill.
Yes, casually. They strolled through that and barely was just over the 16-minute mark. Oh, man. Well, we talked about from the very beginning that it was going to come down to your rope climbs. We saw Torrance Training Lab trying to do their strategy by putting Jamie Hygea doing multiples and then having Chelsea just doing singles. Team Tyrannus looked great as they were working their rope climbs, but Billings, I think, was probably most impressive out of that. Once we got to the rower, then the Billings team actually started to pull ahead. Tyrannus actually was pulling ahead, but then there was that battle back and forth, cycling that barbell. Billings was able to move that barbell a lot quicker. They got out of the way so that their men could get to the floor. But give me a break. Even though these guys did spectacular all the way through, once the guys got their chance to get onto the floor for Invictus X, they basically put everyone back in their dust. And just like I said, they moved through it so slow and casually, it looked like they were doing a warm-up rather than trying to compete with the rest of the field. I mean, Sam Dancer was moving the bar so easily. They wrecked the row. It wasn't even an issue. And then they walked through the finish line. And then everyone's jamming around and hugging and high-fiving and everything. Like, they don't look tired. What the heck is wrong with these guys? They do not look tired.
Maybe our Kiki Dixon can ask them what's wrong with them and quote you on that, Bill, as we do have Kiki with our event winners down on the floor.
Team Invictus X, you are the only team that got all the way through this event. Now, Caitlin, the guys were really dependent on your ability to give them as much time as possible. So what was your approach to that?
Well, in practice, we knew that we needed to give them about 30 seconds more than we had. And Jen and I took about 40 seconds off of our practice time, which just allowed our guys enough time to finish that up.
And Jen, on your rope climbs, I noticed you were doing like a leg cinch. What was the thought behind that?
I was just trying to save my grip. In the past, my grip has gone first. So I was just being cautious so I can have some more grip for the snatches.
Holden, as you were coming through to get after the snatches, the ladies were doing some jazz hands for you, and you guys were giving high fives. With all the commotion, with all the fitness happening, how are you able to enjoy it so much?
We're just here to have fun. That's what we do every day when we go in the gym. I got 3 goofballs on my team, myself included, I guess, but we just like to have fun. Yeah.
Sam, one more event to go. What's going to happen, buddy?
Hey, see you green. Tell them what's going to happen.
Thank you, guys.
So Invictus X, another event win here at the West Regional, just looking absolutely in charge, casual, having fun while they're doing this, and they are making a statement. I guess that's the best way to look at it.
They're definitely making a statement, but I will say this, it's always fun when you're winning. It's always fun when you're crushing the field behind you. So how can you not smile?
10 seconds. Stand by.
Ladies and gentlemen of Del Mar, our teams taking to the floor to complete their 6th and final event here at the West Regional. These teams going to be jamming through 144 handstand push-ups, followed by a 144-foot worm lunge.
You can see CSA going strict handstand push-ups. These athletes will transfer clockwise. You have one athlete holding that handstand position, while the other athlete must complete handstand push-ups. You have 2 athletes waiting in the wings. You can bring it up however you want. You just have to rotate clockwise. And so here we go, our athletes with the quick tags, as CSA looks to be the first team to finish and or get to 144 handstand push-ups first.
Again, Josh, these athletes can break up these reps as they choose, but one athlete must be holding that handstand position while one athlete is accumulating reps. Male athlete from Optimum Performance Training in lane 1 wasted no time, efficiently using that kip to get himself up into that handstand.
Lodi over here in lane number 9, looking strong, as does CrossFit Brio. Getting up and down as fast as possible. There goes Paradiso CrossFit. Paradiso CrossFit getting a big chunk of reps. CSA getting no reps as they do a quick switch out of teammates.
Female athlete from Team 40 South banging out those handstand push-ups. If these teams were to break up these reps evenly, each team member would be accumulating 36 repetitions. But that is not necessary, Josh. These teams can break up these reps as they want.
You can see these athletes moving quickly through these handstand push-ups. They got that worm lunge awaiting them. I'd like to see all these teams finish as our time cap officially for this event, 9 minutes. So team event 6 presented by Fittest, the final event for our teams today, with a time cap of 9 minutes as we patiently await to see which one of these teams gets their judge's hand in the air.
Josh, my eyes are in lane 4. The team in red from Diablo. Female athlete not slowing down, getting more than 10 reps, I want to say, before they rotate clockwise and their second female athlete taken to accumulate reps. We're scanning for judges' hands in the air to see which team might be first off this rogue rig. And Josh, I'm seeing some even strict handstand push-ups going down as some of these athletes deciding that that is a more efficient way to chip away at these 144 repetitions.
CSA may be the first team off of the rig. They're moving quickly through their set of 144, but no, Optimum Performance Training, kind of out of nowhere.
Optimum Performance Training in lane 1, the team in white, making their way down to that worm. And Josh, they have 144 feet between themselves and that finish line.
Right behind them, Lodi. Lodi in the mix as they make their way towards their worm. Paradiso CrossFit Venice and CSA in the mix. Here comes Brio. These athletes make their way down that arena floor, 144 feet. These athletes must carry that unforgiving worm as we have just under 5 minutes. And you can see just how close second place is as you have Paradiso CrossFit Venice, CSA, Lodi, and Brio all in the mix.
Optimum Performance Training holding on to that #1 position. These guys moving swiftly and efficiently. Their judges looking for all of the athletes' knees to hit the ground at the same time, looking for hip extension at the top. And they need to get one more repetition before that worm is through the red line, which it is. They can drop the worm and reset before they pick it up to complete the second half of this 144-foot worm lunge.
Remember, this is the last event for these athletes for today as CSA pulling into second place. Lodi and Paradiso CrossFit Venice in a fight for third. Lodi now over the red line first. Their worm must completely get across that red line as Optimum Performance Training making their trek back to that finish line.
Optimum Performance Training, the first team to turn around to begin the second half of this worm lunge.
CSA wasting no time as they got that worm up and on their shoulders. Next up, Paradiso CrossFit Venice and Lodi. But it is Optimum Performance Training. Lane #1.
Optimum Performance Training in the white, leading the pack. Behind them, CrossFit CSA in the red. But Josh, Optimum Performance Training is not slowing down. They are going to set the time to beat here if they can keep this pace up. Just a few more steps for Optimum Performance Training. They have one athlete through the red line, 2 athletes through that red line. Few more reps for Optimum Performance Training. That worm is through the finish line and they are across. Ladies and gentlemen, your first team.
Optimum Performance Training getting a heat win. Next up, it's either going to be Endgame Athletics or CSA. CSA with 2 athletes across that red line. CSA looking to finish next as they drop their worm and race into that end zone. CSA finishing Endgame Athletics races into that end zone. Next up, Lodi. Lodi getting ready to drop the worm. Lodi dropping that worm and they cross that finish line.
Next up, looks like Paradiso CrossFit Venice with just a few more reps, but here comes CrossFit Brio behind them. Will they be able to keep up this lead and take that 5th place spot in this heat?
Paradiso CrossFit Venice with their final athlete across that red line. They drop it, and Paradiso CrossFit Venice crossing that finish line.
CrossFit Brio in the end zone. Here comes Diablo. A few more reps for Diablo. Looking for this last female athlete to make it across, and there goes Diablo.
Diablo finishing with a time of 7:17.
40th South
Invictus unconquerable. And 40th South in that end zone.
And the tie-dye nation from CrossFit Anywhere with a no rep. They got to put that worm down before they can pick it up and march themselves across that finish line. Del Mar, let's make some noise for the tie-dye nation. And Josh, they're in, and they're over that line.
Ladies and gentlemen, one more time, a big round of applause to all of those teams as they are done for the day, for the weekend. You did an awesome job.
As we get ready for heat number 2 of this event, Evernox in lane 1, Orange Coast CrossFit in lane 3, Diablo Moxie in lane 7, Team Iconic in lane number 10. And I would imagine this one, whereas other ones you get kind of markers, you'll be able to see where the team is if they are moving with that worm in front of you.
Once we get off that wall, then definitely we'll know what the race is. It'll be a little tough as we get going, but what we'll be able to talk about is at least what everyone is doing on that wall and how they're moving, and we're going to be able to tell the tempo and the speed of the different teams. You know, who's going to really be moving. But I'll tell you what, this is the last event. These teams aren't going to make it to the games, but this is how they end their weekend. It's been a long, arduous weekend for these teams. They've had a lot of fun. There's been a lot of drama, and you know what? You saw the smiles on their faces. They're just ready to have some fun and go out with a bang.
Here we go, heat 2, event number 6. Final event of competition for the teams here on the final day of West Regional.
And you can see the way it's working is you have one athlete on the right-hand side doing the work. On the left-hand box, the athlete's just kind of hanging out. And you can see that for the most part, we're going to see everyone doing kipping, that's what the athlete's doing right there with the black tights, bringing the legs down, throwing them up in the air, using that mass of the legs to help the shoulders drive that body up overhead. And here's the thing, if you have a smaller athlete, someone with some shorter arms that don't have to travel as far, and they're a little bit lighter, they should be able to absolutely motor through these reps. Now he's starting to slow down a little bit, but that was a gargantuan chunk of reps that Diablo just put on the board.
And again, we are a minute into the 9-minute cap. As we get a look at the entirety of the field here in heat number 2, event number 6, the final event for team competition. We have one more heat after this.
And just for standard's sake, you see the boxes on the ground, the hands within the box. You can go as wide as you want as long as the palm of your hand doesn't go outside of that square. So you'll see some of the fingers on the line, not a problem. As long as the palm of the hand is within that box, you're safe. And then the judge is looking for a lockout of those arms and those heels touching that glass wall all at the same time. So it's a tough one because you can move pretty quick with this. You have to make sure that you get extension and your heels are on that glass at the same time for that rep to count.
This is Team Precision on the left in lane number 2. And in Team 3, we've got Orange Coast CrossFit. These are our 2 leaders right now here in the early goings of heat number 2.
And I think it's really important for the teams when they come into this particular event to really understand their athletes. You have to know the abilities of the handstand push-ups for each of the athletes. You have to understand and try to be as strategic as possible to get the biggest number knocked off. And a lot of times what that's going to be is your shorter athletes or your lighter athletes. But if they empty the tank, or if you have one athlete holding for too long, they're probably going to come over to the part where they're actually doing the work and they're not going to be able to do it as much. So you got to be really cognizant of that as you decide your order for your teammates. Oh my goodness. And obviously with my first key being know your athletes, we already know that Diablo knows their athletes extremely well. Not a lot of rest in between each one of those different movements as they shuffled around, and then here comes the worm component. You have to be able to communicate appropriately on the worm. And what I mean by that is you want to step in sync, and basically my knee is going to go where your foot was as you're marching down. So you have to be able to call that off and understand the tempo of your team. A lot of times you're going to get into that race, and then all of a sudden you start blowing it out just because and you get out of sync just because you get someone in front that just gets way too over anxious, and that blows the rest of the team out of the water.
That is Diablo Moxie in the lead on the right-hand side of your screen. They are again in lane number 7. Diablo Moxie followed in lane 8 by Team Rep Scheme. And in lane 9, we see CrossFit Costa Mesa. And then over there towards the left side of your screen, we see Orange Coast CrossFit. And it looks like still holding on. Here's Diablo Moxie.
Now Moxie on the right is moving consistent, but Rep Scheme was moving a little bit quicker. You can see the steps are just a little bit faster, which is allowing them to make up some distance as we get down towards that end.
The Team Rep Scheme now moving a couple of strides into the lead, but they'll let it down. And Moxie does the same. Got behind that red line. They've got to reset and head back the opposite direction. Team Rep Scheme with maybe a quarter worm lead over Diablo Moxie. And now they've extended it out to almost 3/4 of a worm to a full worm lead.
So the way these guys work their communication in the beginning, you can see that lead athlete is calling the steps. There was a lot of it in the beginning. Then they started to fall into tempo, so they feel that tempo now. He's not having to talk as much, but there is communication.
This is Rep Scheme in the lead here in heat number 2. They've got a 10-second lead.
Look at that coordination. That looks so beautiful.
And they'll come in to take heat number 2, 5:20 unofficially. Team Rep Scheme.
That was an absolutely impressive time by that team. My goodness, Rep Scheme, way to go.
This is Diablo Moxie. They're in second in the heat. They're looking to come across the line, and here they come. The Diablo Moxie is in. Now CrossFit Coeur d'Alene, as well as CrossFit Costa Mesa at the bottom of your screen. They're right tied neck and neck. This is Coeur d'Alene in lane number 5. They'll come in just under 6 minutes. So Costa Mesa comes in lane 9. This is Team Precision in lane 2 coming in. We saw Orange Coast CrossFit come around as well. Sumner CrossFit Bangcats in the hunt as well. That's them moving towards the left of your screen. In lane 1, you see Team Evernox. Bangcats come across. In lane 1, that's Evernox with maybe a slight lead, half a lunge. That's 6:04 that was on their chase as well. That's Rep Scheme. Came across with a nice time of 5:20 to win heat 2 of event number 6, 5:19.50 officially. So that is very close to the event record, which was set by Team Don't Stop in week number 1. This is Team Iconic in lane number 10.
Now this is what's so crazy. You watch these guys coming down, and they're not doing bad. And this is not to show that they are doing a bad job on the movement, but look at the way they're moving versus how the teams were in the very beginning. Rep Scheme made it look so easy, almost like it was kind of a joke. It's nice to be able to have some teams that are working and having to actually struggle through this, just so you can see actually how difficult that movement is with that worm on your shoulder and that coordination.
And then Iconic will come across the line. And everyone is in, but it was Team Rep Scheme with a very impressive time, 5:19.50. Heat 3 of event number 6 here at the West Regional. You see in lane 5, Invictus X, they are our overall leaders. But teams 4 to 7 still in the hunt. Let's get a look at these lane assignments. You're going to be watching Code 3 San Diego. They are in 5th place right now. CrossFit Billings, they are still sitting in 4th place. Of course, Torrance Training Lab, they've dropped from 2nd to 3rd overall, and CrossFit Fort Vancouver in lane 4 has moved up into 2nd. But you're really going to be watching what's going to happen for that final spots that's 4th through 7th right now in the standings, where we can still get a lot of change. And is that going through these athletes' minds right now?
Well, I think they are. Mostly the people that are really being very aware of that is Code 3. These guys are sitting on that bubble in that 5th place position. Now, here's the thing. The very first event of this weekend was the handstand walks. These guys crushed it. They won that event. So here we are again, up on top of our hands. So I think they are ecstatic about this event. It's going to hopefully keep them in that position. Now, number 6 is going to be, number 7 is Invictus. And number 6, they're just outside by a couple points. They need to have a good event here. They've been consistent, so we need to see more consistency across as we come in through this last event.
Who wants to go to the CrossFit Games? That's what we will find out now. Final team competition of the weekend here at the West Regional.
So you look across that board, you see across that wall, all those legs flying up and down. That's that Kipping handstand push-up, using the mass of those legs to really generate the power and the explosiveness so they aren't having to rely on just their shoulders. You see the standard is that box, got to keep the hands within those box. Fingers can be out of it, that's okay. But one athlete is working and one athlete is just supporting themselves.
Getting a look at the entirety of the field here. Heat 3 of event number 6. Final team action of the 2018 West Regional. This is Team Tyrannus on the left. They're in 6th right now, just underneath the red line. It's Code 3 San Diego on the right. They are holding on to that 5th and final spot for a ticket to Madison, entering this final competition.
And if you look at the tempo of Code 3, they're just a little bit faster. Now here's the thing, you see her starting to bobble. That's not what you want to have. The second you start to slow down, you got to get a new person in there. You can't allow yourself to slow down and rest and just hang out. Wow, that's a big chunk of reps. You can see Tyrannus made that switch and how much faster they were when they made the switch.
Get 90 seconds in here, 9-minute cap. Fort Vancouver, however, is the early leader. But again, this is Tyrannus and Code 3. This is 6th place on the left, 5th place on the right. For more on Code 3, let's throw it down to Kiki on the floor.
Entire Code 3 team, and their strategy for the handstand push-ups is to complete the work in 4 sets and then slow and steady on the worm. Sean said due to his longer arms, he may be a little bit slower with that box standard, but they're a rookie team, and they came into the weekend hoping for a top 10 finish, but they said they'll certainly take a top 5.
Thank you, Kiki. Again, that is Tyrannus on the left and Code 3 San Diego on the right. 5th and 6th, respectively, entering this final competition.
We're just trying to see some hands going up to know when these teams are getting close, but it really looked like Tyrannus had a whole lot of speed, and that's exactly what they need. They need to keep themselves moving.
This is Invictus in lane 8. Still technically possible for them to qualify for the CrossFit Games. But they are in 7th right now, entering this final event. Here's our time to beat. We just saw it from rep scheme in the last heat, 5:19.50 in heat number 2.
Oh!
And that's Torrance Training Lab out there first.
And that's exactly what they needed. They had a rough event in that last event. Not very happy with that finish. I was talking about this team earlier, and I think that of the teams that could win, they had the best shot at it. Very strong on the handstand push-ups. Now it's about communication.
And you see Billings just a little bit of trouble getting off the line there, but they're in 2nd right now. They are in 4th entering this final competition. But out in front, that is Torrance Training Lab. Then in lane 7, it's CrossFit Billings. In lane 8, it's Invictus. Entered the day in 7th. entered this final event in 7th.
You can see Jamie Haigia is really leaning into that, almost like she's pulling her team along, which is fine. They just have to make sure that she doesn't get ahead of the rest of the team behind them. If they can't hear that communication, you can see that worm start to get bobbled, and that's not what you want to have. They have it nicely, but they just need to stay calm, keep that communication, and keep that timing.
You see in lane 2, Team Tyrannus. They're in 6th. They're moving up as well. And you see behind them in lane 3, that was Code 3 San Diego. This is Tyrannus in lane number 2. Again, just below that red line in 6th, entering this final event. And Torrance Training Lab is flying, already heading back the opposite direction. You see Invictus as well as Billings making the turn. Fort Vancouver making the turn as well. In lane 2, we see Team Tyrannus. This is Torrance Training Lab in lane 6. Second right now is Invictus. Keep your eyes on the teams in the white lanes out there. They are the ones vying for those final spots. And then Torrance Training Lab coming in to take event number 6 with an event record.
They crushed that one. What a way to go out on the last day.
Lane 8, this is Invictus. 7th entering this final event. Followed closely by Billings in 7. And then in lane 2, but here comes Invictus.
Wow.
Will it be enough?
That was exactly what they needed also.
Tyrannus comes across. We're looking at Invictus X. Obviously had themselves in a very good position and not stressing. They're across.
Not stressing.
This is Code 3 San Diego way behind. They were in 5th, and now we don't know where they stand until this is all over, but this was not what they needed.
Yeah, they just, you can see there's a misrep there. A lot of struggling with communication. They had so much difficulty with that worm on the way down. Even when they had to make the turnaround, just seemed to not be able to get that communication, that synchronization down at all.
Code 3 San Diego, they could have just watched it all slip through their fingers. Again, they were 5th entering the final competition, holding on to that final spot. This is Iron Mile coming in. But big performance from Invictus, as well as Team Tyrannus. And then Code 3 San Diego. We'll have to wait for the final scores to be tabulated, but there has been very much change happening right now in this final heat. This is Barry Public at the bottom of your screen, and that's Armory at the top of your screen. 2 minutes and 5 seconds remain. Barry Public comes across, and Armory does as well. And that was a very, very, very fast heat, Bill.
My goodness.
Torrance Training Lab with unofficially a new event record coming in to take event number 6.
I talked to Torrance Training Lab's coach earlier in the end of the week, and he really thought that of all the events, this was the one that they could win. They needed that, and I think not so much point-wise to get them to the games. They needed that more mentally to go out on a positive note. That last event was rough for them, their worst finish. They needed to have this one just for their own heads. But let's look back at what we had. So out of the gate, we had Code 3 really working hard, and there was a lot between Code 3 and Tyrannus. These guys were both battling for that spot. Code 3 on the right-hand side just looked very fast, very consistent on those handstand push-ups. Look at the speed. So much speed going on. And so they jumped out, and I thought for sure this was going to be a great event for them. But out of nowhere came the Torrance Training Lab, slammed through those handstand push-ups, and once they got their hands on the worm, you could see Billings was right next to them, but literally worm coming up at the same time, and they left the rest of the field in the dust. It started off with Jamie Haigia leading in the front, pulling the worm along. They made that switch, no problems at all, and look at the synchronization with those steps. Every single step right on cue, no issues, very fast, a new event record, and man, what a way to end their day.
Torrance Training Lab, just very, very impressive. But the real story here is going to be Invictus, as they had a very, very nice performance in Code 3 San Diego. We don't know what happened to them as of yet. But let's now send it down to Kiki on the floor.
Torrance Training Lab, congratulations on taking event 6. Now, you had a couple of events where you didn't meet your own expectations. How did you turn the tide and prepare to come out here and crush it?
It's a long weekend, so we knew just one bad event, you had to throw it out the window, get your mind right, come back out here, trust in each other, and we knew we can push it on this one.
144 handstand push-ups. How did you guys break those up down there?
We knew that we could get it done in one set each, and we stuck to the plan, and it worked, so how's that?
You guys seem to have a lot of fun, both here at the competition and leading up to regionals. How much did that help your performance here, just getting along and being a team?
I think it helps tremendously because we don't get mad at each other. We just laugh it off like, hey, you sucked on that one. Let's pick it up on the next one, and then we just form back together good as a team.
So a little trash talking is okay here?
Oh yeah, we give him a lot of hard times.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Kiki.
All smiles from Torrance Training Lab as they come through with a new event record, Bill, and they were absolutely flying once they got on that worm.
You know, when they look good, they look amazing, and they did exactly what they needed to do. And just the way they handled that one, you would have not guessed that they had such a bad event right before that. So great job for those guys. Way to finish out their weekend.
Yeah, and they come through with a time of 5:02.77. Again, a new event record. We saw Team Rep Scheme in the previous heat come through with a time of 5:19.50. Then Invictus, 5:22.67. And then CrossFit Fort Vancouver. But just, you know, watching these teams over the entirety of this weekend, it's just been so much fun to watch. We've seen that team mentality really shine through. We saw it with Torrance Training Lab. We saw it with Team Rep Scheme. Both those teams completely in sync on the worm, and that was really the difference maker.
And I think when you bring it down, you can't hide. You can't be a link, one of the people, and hide just due to the numbers. You have 4 people, you need to be very, very in tune, and that's what we saw. The teams that had that did really, really well. The teams that had a hole somewhere struggled. And man, the programming just really showed that this weekend.
If you feel good about yourself right now, like an Invictus X, what's your takeaway? Are you identifying any weaknesses there, or is it just keep on doing what you're doing?
I think this is the first time that, especially like for Invictus X, that they got a chance to put their team to the test in a competitive setting. Yeah, they may work out all together at the gym and in their home gym and doing the training and everything, but you have to be out here with other teams against you, with judges, with that sort of environment to really see how it's going to work. Now, they have a lot of experience. The dancers have been to the games before. They understand what that feels like. The other athletes are very, very good individual type athletes, so they know what they need to do. But again, it's that cohesion. What kind of meshing do you have with those teams that's going to determine your success?
Again, we are tabulating the final results right now. Not we, literally me and Bill, but the scoring system is tabulating the results. God forbid they leave that math to us, right?
I don't do my pluses or minuses or X's and T's very well, so.
But we were waiting to see. It was Code 3 San Diego. They were 5th heading into that final event. They were 1 spot above the red line, or they were just right above the red line, but they faltered in that final event. We saw Team Tyrannus with a strong performance. The same thing with Invictus. We saw Billings with a really good look as well. So right now, that's what we're waiting to find out. Just a lot of changeover that could have occurred. And Code 3, we are hearing right now, you know, have they blown their chances?
Well, I don't know. It's hard to say. That what I love about this team is they're a young team. They are a rookie team. They don't have a whole lot of experience, at least at like the elite regional level. They said, just as Kiki said, that they were hoping just to be in the top 10. So the fact that you're hoping to be in the top 10 and you're flirting with that number 5 realm to make it to the games with the field that we have is impressive. So if they made it, spectacular job. If they didn't make it, spectacular job, because you were way above where you probably should have been or maybe thought you could have been. But I think the fact that they had that first event, they had that event win, that really set them for some momentum. We saw that they do have holes. If you look at what their placings were, you know, you go from a first to a 19th to a second to a 10th to whatever we end up getting here. It's been an up and down weekend for them. We have to see if they ended up on the upside. I'm not really sure how it's going to fall out yet.
What's their takeaway from that up and down nature? Did it just line up that the events didn't all go to their strengths, or did one just highlight a specific weakness?
I think that you could very easily look at each one of those. I think they did well in the first event because they had the handstand walks. The teams that struggled with that obstacle, you saw them drop to the bottom. They didn't have that issue, so not a problem. But the other ones, you could see that. So if you go from a first to a 19th, absolutely, there are weaknesses that you need to fix. Is it a team weakness? Is it a general weakness? Or is it like, okay, this one individual had struggles with whatever the implement was, if it was snatching, if it was rope climbs, if it was handstand push-ups, whichever. That's what they need to take away. In fact, all these teams should do that. Whether they were in the top 5 or they were in the bottom, they need to look at each of the tests and determine, okay, not did just we get experience, but what did we learn from this? Where are the holes, and what do we need to do to fix those holes?
Again, we are waiting for the results to be tabulated here. Entering this final day of competition, there were just 12 points separating 4th place from 7th place. We knew a lot could change, and we have seen up to this point the feeling that a lot did change.
Yeah, there was a big shuffle, and even up until this last event, being that it was so close, and the point total was so close, it's not an easy, oh, well, you got 3rd, so you got this, and it's a done deal. There's just so many moving parts that's really hard for me, maybe I'll say it that way, it's hard for me to put all that math together to do that. I'm sure there are people out on the floor that are working their smartphones and trying to make it happen, but they have a whole team of people just doing that, looking at the scores, seeing what all the places were, making sure the points are right. The last thing we want to do is have a mistake, so everyone's kind of, dotting the I's and checking the T's and crossing the T's, dotting the I's, or whatever all that kind of thing is, making sure that it's right so that these guys get their right results, because that's important.
I just watched the camera pan past CrossFit Fort Vancouver, and it's just, you think about that. They come in 2nd place entering that final event, and just the history and the experience, you see it play out with those guys, and it did over the course of this competition.
It really did, and it's fun having a team that has so much experience. I mean, I think one of the neat things about this sport now is we're still new as a sport, but now we finally, even in our, 10, 12 years of time that people have been doing this, we have OG style and we have new school style of CrossFit and CrossFit teams. And I think it's great that we have an OG team that's out there that's really made a name for themselves.
All right, well, we are now ready to get to the announcements, so I'm going to toss it now to Josh Gallegos on the floor.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go with the results of our team event. In first place with 544 points, Invictus X. In second place, with a point score of 512 points, Torrance Training Lab. In third place with 506 points, CrossFit Fort Vancouver. Taking a qualifying position in fourth place with 468 points, CrossFit Billings. And ladies and gentlemen, for the 5th and final spot, taking it by just 6 points, with a total of 456. The last and final spot goes to Invictus! Ladies and gentlemen, give it up one more time for your top 5 teams representing the West Regional at the 2018 Reebok CrossFit Games.